Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into Spider-Man: Brand New Day. We're going to unpack its absolutely massive box office success, the surprisingly heavy emotional depths of the story, and some highly specific, really fascinating regional controversies that flared up around its release. We're looking at a film that has completely hijacked the global conversation, but as you're about to see, the story happening behind the scenes and in the audience is just as wild as the movie itself. So, here's our roadmap for today. We've got 1. Unpacking the box office. 2. The toll of isolation. 3. Critics divided on tone. 4. The Tamil promotional backlash. And finally, 5. IMAX, OTT, and beyond. Let's get right into it. Section 1, Unpacking the Box Office. We really have to start with the macro picture here because the financial footprint of this film is just staggering. Globally, this movie crossed the $1 billion mark in a matter of days. Think about that for a second. $1 billion in just days. That's an incredibly rare feat, even for Marvel. And with audience demand still surging worldwide, industry analysts are currently projecting a massive $2.1 billion global haul before it even leaves theaters. Zooming in on India, the story is just as massive. The film is racing toward a 350 to 400 crore gross, fundamentally cementing it as a historic Hollywood juggernaut in the country. To put that into perspective, on its opening day alone, it pulled in an estimated net collection of 11.88 crore by midday. The English and Hindi dubbed versions are definitely leading the charge, but honestly, its financial dominance is clear right across the board. But, here's a little financial reality check for us. Look at that Monday drop. After a massive Sunday gross of over 77 crore, the film took a steep 69.4% dive on Monday, landing at 23.80 crore. It just goes to show that even Peter Parker isn't immune to the dreaded weekday slump. Still, despite that sharp decline, it continues to absolutely dominate cinemas. All right, Section 2, The Toll of Isolation. Let's peel back a layer from all that box office hype because the actual narrative of this movie reveals a deeply somber reality. This isn't your breezy, fun neighborhood superhero adventure. The reality is Peter is totally, completely alone right now. It's been 4 years since Dr. Strange's spell in No Way Home erased Peter Parker's identity from the world, and he's made the agonizing choice to stay away from MJ and Ned to keep them safe. Instead, we see him doing what a lot of us might do, painfully watching his best friends live their lives without him on Instagram. And on top of that crushing emotional weight, the film doesn't shy away from the severe physical toll of his powers. He is taking brutal beatings, covered in bruises from countless fights. It brilliantly highlights the psychological core of the story. As critic Matt Goldberg from Decoding Everything pointed out, and I think he hit the nail on the head here, Peter's alter ego has also become his hiding place. The wide-eyed teenager is literally gone. He's using the Spider-Man mask to cope with his profound trauma and loneliness. It's a super dark, angst-filled evolution for Tom Holland's character, leaning heavily into what it means to be isolated in a hyper-digital world. Which brings us to Section 3, Critics Divided on Tone. Because as you can imagine, this heavy emotional baggage polarized reviewers. The contrast between reactions is actually pretty stark. On one hand, you have Indian outlets like Puthia Talamere celebrating the balance of less action, more emotion, calling it a visual and emotional treat. But Western critics, a lot more mixed. David Chen over at Decoding Everything felt the film was essentially 2 decent movies just mashed together. They liked the intimate character study, but felt it clashed pretty awkwardly with the standard, clunky MCU universe-building stuff. Basically, the big debate is, do audiences want a quiet, sad character study or a booming action flick? Now, speaking of booming action, we do have a massive external conflict mirroring Peter's internal chaos. The overarching threat involves Jean Grey, who's targeting something called VMAX at the Department of Damage Control. She's actually possessing human bodies across New York, completely driven by revenge. But even with this huge supernatural threat happening, critics pretty much universally agree that Peter's internal battle, his loneliness and physical transformation, remains the true focal point of the entire story. Moving on to Section 4, the Tamil promotional backlash. Let's zoom into a hyper-local conflict where Sony was caught completely off guard. So, while the movie is pulling in billions globally, the local promotional strategy in Tamil Nadu hit a massive speed bump. Sony dropped this vibrant Tamil promotional anthem to hype up the dubbed release, choosing to feature music by GB Prakash Kumar and choreography by Sandy. Well, the fans instantly revolted online. The internet was just not having it. A massive wave of users flooded social media demanding that Anirudh Ravichandran should have been the composer instead. The consensus was loud and clear. They felt the track was totally out of place and lacked that true Spider-Man vibe. And the backlash didn't even stop at the music. Local fans hilariously and ruthlessly roasted the official Tamil-dubbed voice of Spider-Man in the trailer. Look at this quote from YouTube reviewer SRSKTV 2.0. They complained that Spider-Man's Tamil dubbing voice wasn't given originally, some random guy dubbed it. They compared the jarring new voice to an amateur parody, even likening it to that whole controversy where a celebrity voice was used for comedic effect in the Tamil dub of Avengers Endgame. It's just a really fascinating look at how hyper-specific audience expectations can totally derail a localized marketing push. Okay, Section 5, IMAX, OTT, and beyond. Because despite all that localized drama, this theatrical run is far from over. To combat that steep weekday box office drop we saw earlier, an IMAX release is timed perfectly. The movie hit standard theaters on July 30th, but on August 7th, it rolls out to IMAX screens. That offers premium immersion for all those massive visual effects, and crucially for the studio, higher average ticket prices. Analysts expect this will significantly boost the box office during a window where there's very little Hollywood competition. And if you're waiting to watch it from your couch, reports suggest Netflix has secured the streaming rights with an expected drop in late September or October of this year. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final thought. We have a movie making billions, yet it's anchored by a deeply depressed, isolated protagonist taking brutal physical damage. So what does this mean? Did this monumental success prove that audiences are actually hungry for deep, isolating trauma and heavy emotional stakes in their superhero movies? Or is Spider-Man just the exception to the rule, and fans ultimately just want the big action set pieces? It's definitely something to chew on as the MCU moves forward. Thanks so much for joining me to unpack all of this.